when Aitana Poco received a text alert from the Valencia Regional Administration at 8 p.m. on October 29 ordering residents to stay indoors due to catastrophic flash floods. The water was already knee-high on the ground floor of the hotel where she had sought shelter. The 23-year-old stated, "We could have done with the warning about 6 hours earlier, after he and other locals and visitors retreated to the hotel's first floor close to the village of Paiporta. We were all calming down a little from the panic and drying our feet." Others did not have the same luck. Another Paiporta resident, Carlos Martinez, told local news that he was stuck in a tree seeing bodies floating past when the flood warning was issued. By the time the regional government issued its alarm, murky water had already encircled their cars, swamped the streets of their towns, and poured into their homes. Dozens of residents of flooded localities told Reuters. Some local institutions and towns had sounded the alarm far earlier, following days of storm warnings issued by the National Weather Service since October 25. The day prior, Valencia University had instructed its employees not to report to work. In the eastern Spanish region, a number of town councils halted operations, closed public spaces, and advised residents to remain at home. However, hundreds of locals and specialists told Reuters that the conflicting signals and confusion cost lives. It is the deadliest disaster to hit a single European nation since 1967, when floods in Portugal killed around 500 people, with over 220 dead and about 80 missing. Following significant rains in hilly regions west of Valencia from the early hours of October 29, the National Meteorological Agency AEMET upgraded its hazard level for heavy rains to a red alert at 7:36 a.m. Waters flowing through the typically dry Poyo Ravine, the epicenter of the disaster, surged to more than 3 times the flow of Spain's largest river in the 12 hours it took for the regional administration to issue its shelter-in-place order. Floods are growing more frequent and have proven fatal in the past as climate change alters weather patterns along Spain's Mediterranean coast. However, many Valencians were ignorant of the serious risks posed by flash flooding or how to react after at least 50 years without a significant disaster. The 23-year-old Potel, who took sanctuary in the hotel, claimed she had never been given much information on the dangers of flooding. At school, they gave talks about fires, she recalled, but not floods. According to 7 experts Reuters spoke with, this, along with a lack of cooperation between regional and national authorities, and political decisions made years ago to forego funding for waterways infrastructure, made the tragic death toll worse. According to Felix Francis, a professor of hydraulic engineering and environment at Valencia Polytechnic University, it was predictable that we would have catastrophic flooding here. According to a Reuters examination, 14 out of the 24 municipalities that had previously been classified as having a high risk of flooding in Environment Ministry assessments had documented deaths. Experts such as geologists, urban planners, hydraulic and civil engineers, and disaster relief specialists indicated that a series of mistakes, including failing to secure homes constructed on floodplains, educate the public, and promptly alert citizens, contributed to the deaths. Luis Bainon, an engineer and professor of transportation engineering and infrastructure at the University of Alicante, stated that those deaths would have been infinitely less if there had been adequate infrastructure. According to a central government source, numerous legal investigations are anticipated to review the decisions made and assign blame for the high death toll. What happened in Valencia highlights the need for strategic, coordinated measures to protect people in European cities as more of the world's population settles on floodplains, climate events become more extreme, and Europe warms faster than the global average, said Sergio Palencia, professor of urbanization at Valencia Polytechnic University. Francis claimed to have contributed to the creation of a plan 17 years prior that called for spending 150 million euros, $162 million, to construct flood works for the Poyo Ravine. A week after the floods on November 5, the national government allocated 10.6 billion euros to aid the victims. No work had been initiated, Spain's State Secretary for the Environment Hugo Moran told Reuters, referring to the plan France's worked on, which expired in 2017. According to him, the government had to start anew, and some work is currently being done. According to France's, some people were so ignorant of the danger that they were oblivious to the fact that, for instance, it would be foolish to descend to a basement to save the car.